Hi listeners, thanks again for joining for another episode in my Ellevate series with your host, me, Becky. In this podcast, we talk about all things women empowerment, challenges in the recruitment industry, career progression, and anything else that is empowering women in business. Thanks for listening, and please remember to follow and subscribe for all updates. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining today. I'm really excited about this week's episode. I am joined by the lovely Daniela. Daniela and I have known each other for quite some months now, having met in Copenhagen, I think last year at a networking event for senior leaders in the tech space. She's come to quite a few of the events that I've hosted, and we've also met for lunch and had some really interesting conversations. And I'm really therefore looking forward to today's session to kind of dive in a little bit deeper. We're going to be discussing the topic of overcoming hurdles, and I will let Daniela introduce herself and a bit more about her background, and I'm sure that we will find out that there's been many hurdles throughout, but it hasn't seemed to slow her down or stop her from where she's gotten to today. So I think the story will be really inspiring, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with the network. So yeah, Daniela, without further ado, thank you so much for joining. It's great to have you on today. Do you want to start out and maybe introduce yourself, a little bit about where you're from, your education, and kind of, where you got to and how you got there today?
Hi Becky, hi everyone, and thank you for having me here. So I'm also very thankful for this opportunity to share some of my stories and experiences from my life and my career, and maybe just get someone inspired with that. Introducing myself. So if I need to do it shortly in any other context, then I would say, I'm German, living in Copenhagen, and I'm currently working as a VP of engineering in an international fintech company. But my story a bit more in detail, and this is also the aim of sharing it here. So I will tell my full story. So I was born in former Yugoslavia, and for all younger people online here, there was a nice country more than 30 years ago in south of Europe with the name Yugoslavia. This is the place where I was born. The city I was born in and grew up in belongs now to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Due to civil war in early 90s, I moved out. I decided to leave this, madness of a civil war behind me, and landed and got integrated in Germany. So that was just right after finalizing my high school with 19 years. And this was one of the big hurdles in my life that also shaped maybe me as a person and my way through it. So when I arrived in Germany, I didn't really know the country, the culture, the language. I didn't have my parents with me. I didn't have any money. And basically this 2 years of learning the language and getting integrated was actually shaping me as a person and my skills and my strength. It was a huge learning, but we know everything what doesn't kill you make you stronger. So here I am, strong. Then I continued my life in Germany. So I went to university. I studied electrical engineering in Dortmund. And after that, I started my career as a software engineer. And from there, the journey is like, 20, 25 years until now. This career steps is mostly basically to be described in a two phases. So I started my career as as a technical expert, as a software engineer. I work in different areas of the product, different application layers. So growing in a technical role, and also, within this role, I somehow came to Denmark. But then when my company closed, I have had basically, I also stand again in a new country without knowing the language, without having a huge career network. I've had also a chance to do something. I'm usually very energized when it comes to the changes, and that was one of the change which is opening up for some opportunities. So I think also, with every change there is an opportunity window that we can use, and I decided to try something new. So after having like 13, 14 years of a technical career, that was somehow not enough for me anymore. So it was not just about the great tech we can build and the user using it. I was also interested more into the business part of how companies are running, strategic decisions and directions. So I decided to do the full-time MBA at the Copenhagen Business School, and then found a new job where I can combine now both my skills, the technical skills and more kind of a business and leadership skills I learned. So this is how I came to the current company. So now I'm actually in a managerial position. Since more than 8 years, I'm holding various managerial leadership positions, and today I'm heading a huge organization of more than 250 people across 6 countries. So this is where I'm now.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Daniela. And I'm looking forward to kind of diving into each kind of chapter along the way there. So yeah, I guess where should we start? So going back a bit, when you were carving out your career path, what sort of skills did you realize that you had or have had that have been invaluable throughout that?
When I do this retrospectively, I see that there is like a red thread through my career. So I think passion has been always included. So I started also early in my school and with the interest to technical topics like mathematics, physics. And this is what brought me also to study electrical engineering, because I've had this strong analytical and problem solving skills, and always this eagerness to learn more, to understand more. And I also think that I have ability to abstract on different levels. So I can go super deep into details, but also zoom out and to talk more on the conceptual level. I think this ability is very, very useful, also to progress from role to role and to climb career ladder. So I could also say that curiosity and always being open to understand the world a little bit more than your own plate. Also, as a software engineer, I've been very, very interested, how is this tech used? What is the usability aspect of the technology I would be using or developing? And then also, as I explained, that I went to the business school in order to understand more of the business decisions and strategic decisions. How is this used in a company? So I think I like to combine topics. I like to see the stuff holistically, and this ability, to zoom in and zoom out, is something that I can summarize. That is actually very good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of touched on it there a little bit, but what skills were specific to technology or tech or, mathematics, as you said, when you started out, that you felt were quite transferable into the business side?
I think this analytical skills and ability to focus on a topic also deeply into the content, but also to abstract on different level, and maybe also take this learning or those aspects into slightly different field. Which this is where my curiosity is taking the stuff across, and then. Those are coming actually from the technical roles, but actually are applicable for any other business. And this curiosity of learning more and then how to adopt and apply it somewhere else, I think this is very good to have.
So as you say, kind of just general, the curiosity element is high. That desire to keep learning sounds like is quite a transferable thing, whether you're doing software engineering or mathematics or finance or sales or anything. I guess that level of curiosity has been helpful for you.
Exactly. And also setting the goals. So I think I've always been good in setting, also sometimes people say too high goals, but I I have ambition. I have high ambitions and high goals, and having set those goals and following the plan and really being hard and kind of achieving it. So I think this is also very good, and sometimes just being courageous and to try something else, because sometimes you just hit the wall or have a big hurdle on your way, and then you need to find a way to go around it. So I think this openness to, have a goal, but to be able to adjust on the way.
Absolutely. Okay. So just in terms of the organizations you've worked for, you've had the chance to work in big global companies in lots of different countries. What's that been like?
Yes. So as I explained, my life journey, it has mostly these three parts. I'm geographically or culturally binded to the three parts of Europe. So I, grew up, spent the first 19 years in former Yugoslavia. Then I moved to Germany, spent more than 15 years there, and then somehow the life brought me to Denmark. And then also for more than 15 years I'm living here. So I kind of I have very, very strong influence from these three parts, three countries, three parts of Europe. And I could see there are huge differences in between. So even Germany and Denmark are so close to each other, the two countries next to each other. But I have experienced huge differences in especially work-life balance, or a position of a working woman in a society. So I think this is really interesting.
Yeah, just on that, what else has been different? Have you noticed things like the working culture, communication styles, essentially biases in the workplace between, I guess, those three chapters of your life? And I suppose each chapter, you've also been at different stages as well, right? So you probably experienced different ways.
So I know that in all those countries I've lived in, women in tech is not is not equally represented as a male. So it is still like a tech or STEM. It's a more kind of a male perceived domain. But there are still differences between those countries I used to live in. For example, in former Yugoslavia, it was more normal that both parties, both parents worked. And I knew that electrical engineering would be something like, maybe only 30% of the female attending to. But when I landed in Germany, and I remember my first university day, when I came to the big aula, I was entering in it completely excited that I made it there, and then seeing like 400 young male people, and I was thinking, okay, what is this about? Are they split kind of a males and females in Germany in two different classes, or what is happening here? And I needed to learn that actually from 450 students in that year, only we seven were females. And I didn't expect that. So for me, it was unbelievable that that so few females decide to go that way in Germany. So I could also then say, okay, why is that? If I look actually all of these 7 females who started, they really knew where they are. They were really good. They finished in time with the best grades, and the half of the male population kind of tried it out and stopped after 1 year. and then I was thinking, okay, why is this like this? Why it's not more equal? Why also not maybe more females tried out? Maybe it's not for them, like for the 50% of the males. They figured it out in the first year. But why it's so unusual? And all of those females they started, they are really so dedicated, and they really knew they are on the right place. So I thinking maybe it also lost opportunity for more people to explore it and to try it out and figure out maybe it is something for me. So I think people are starting already with more fears. And then just to finalize this, I think that is also an interesting episode I have had. After finalizing the university, I got a lot of good male friends. And I have had a colleague, a co-student, a friend. We started at the same time. We finished approximately at the same time. We've had similar grades. Maybe I've had a little bit better grades. But we were working on similar topics, very similar final exam. And then we applied for the jobs at the same time. Of course, we shared job ads because we were friends, because there was enough jobs in the market. And actually, we both applied to a same company, to the same position. And he got 20% higher salary offer than me. And I also thought, okay, this is not okay. And I did not start with this company. So I selected to choose another job. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, it's a shame to still hear those stories. I think that a lot of things have been done to improve the system, but as you say, it starts at a very young and impressionable point in the career, right? When you get to university, you're still very young, and those kind of things do have an impact on you. And even if they're not explicit, the message has meaning, and I think it then kind of perpetuates. So it's great to hear that it obviously kind of gave you a little bit of motivation, if anything, to kind of conquer that. But I can imagine that not all face that same success.
Yeah, but those example and this experience, they shape you during this path. Either you kind of acknowledge this, or you learn this, or you take this learning and adjust your own behavior, or something like that. So probably also all this, my journey has shaped my personality and my strengths.
For sure. I can completely appreciate that. And I suppose when looking back at the first day of your career then, so once you got that job that you ended up taking, what is the way that you describe your strengths and weaknesses then the same as now? Has anything changed? What do you think that kind of looks like?
No, I mean, about when we talk about the strength, and absolutely they have changed and developed during this time. So I would say my values are still the same, but skills have developed. So I think I very much developed, for example, in persistence, and making myself visible and heard. Sometimes I would find difficult in a strong male-dominated domain and meeting, as an introvert female, to really being heard and listened to. But I needed to learn to find my way through it. So I would, for example, there were meetings I needed to stand up just to make people aware, hey, I'm speaking, listen to me. I need sometimes just to not only stand up, but go in front of the table, just also to make my points visible. Then I have also learned that the way I have been, for example, raised, is to treat people fairly, and to you treat people how would you like to be treated yourself. But then I also learned by heart that not everybody is treating me really nicely, and how I would like to treat people, the other way around. So and all of this is probably not not really a bad thoughts behind it. It's just basically how people are rate what they're used to, and which kind of assumptions they work with. So now I'm actually working with those. I will not. I will use actively to articulate my assumptions into a situation where I, have something to say or to change or to challenge. And then we could basically explore this further. But, I think this persistence and communication and self-esteem definitely developed and improved with the different experience I have been through my journey.
Absolutely. And as a woman in a senior tech position and in a tech company now, you mentioned it a couple of times as well at university. So you're probably used to being maybe the only or one of the few women in the room. Are you kind of used to that now?
Yes. I mean, from the university time before, I've been surrounded by more boys than girls, right? So it was always like a more male domain. And also because of that, I have very good friends, like male friends and colleagues. And this is not an issue per se. So I don't see this as a problem. So because this kind of a job is basically done with the brain, right? So gender should not play a role. So I think this is the skills, abilities, the interests should kind of bring those people professionally together. But sometimes there are strange dynamics in a certain meetings, and I start then having doubts and feeling uncomfortable or not secure. And especially when I feel like that I'm not treated fair, or that kind of a different measures apply to me than to my colleagues, then those situations are strange and they are impacting me. This, I think, is frustrating. And in those situations, I kind of, try even to work even harder just to make a point that I'm value. I have a value as well, and I have a place on the table. And this is something, this dynamics can be really strange. I don't know why it needs to be like that, but
Yeah, I like your point around the job is done with the brain. So why does it matter what I look like or sound like or what I'm wearing or where I come from and things like that? But I think unfortunately those things do come into play, right?
somehow, yeah.
But then again, and we'll kind of get into this, I suppose those previous experiences and perceptions help you bring a different perspective to the table. So you kind of started alluding to it there, and maybe it's a good point to raise now, but we spoke a little bit about imposter syndrome. So it feels like yes, but from your experience, do you think you've kind of felt this before in your career so far?
Yeah. To be honest here, also to all people who are hearing us, I learned this phrase newly, imposter syndrome. I didn't know what it is, but now then I learned that my behavior probably has a name. So I how I think about myself, I'm just a normal person with some strength and some maybe not so strong sides, right? Like everybody else. Everybody has a certain strength and then something that we can improve on. I myself have high goals. I'm putting high goals and aspirations to myself, and then this is how I am, and I like that. I want that, right? I want to set myself the goal. I want to have this achievement. Um, uh, does it now, make me a superwoman or something like that? Probably not, right? I don't want to be it all, and I don't want to be perfect. I just want to follow my goals and dreams. If this is making me like a superwoman, then yes, then I want to be a model to any woman to become a superwoman, because this is what I think everybody should do. Just do it to live your dreams, set your goals, and live your life. But yes, I see actually that all this this tension to perfectionist, or when I'm having doubts, when I'm alone or when I'm inside myself, or affected by a situation, then I try even to work even harder, to be even better, to kind of show that I'm strong as well. And probably this is coming from that side.
Yeah, absolutely. So you almost have to prove it a little bit further,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you didn't necessarily know what it was called. You just felt like you were having these feelings and just sort of acted upon them. And I wonder, I know there's lots of debates out there. I wonder what the benefit is of defining the feeling or this imposter syndrome scenario, behavior, however you label it, versus not necessarily labeling it and just pushing through. But I suppose it does help when you can clarify in your mind or have something tangible to know what you're experiencing, as long as you then can bring that kind of motivation, as you said, to push through it, right? Which
Yes,
not
yes,
always.
and I think it's helpful. So what I really like is to reflect on myself, on my development, and to reflect on the situations, and this is basically where I gained this, to understand how I behave and why I behave like this, or why is this important for me. So I think I like to see the world from that side.
Absolutely. Why do you think having a diverse team is important?
So also in a current job and in a previous job, so I think diverse teams is really important topic for us. So diverse team can elevate created value. So diverse teams can do more. And when we say diverse teams, most of the times people are thinking of the gender diversity. But when I talk diversity, or we in the company talk diversity, so we also talk about the all other aspects, like age or seniority, culture, nationality or country you're coming with, technical skills, about leadership experience, even eating habits. It is important. Just diversity is opening your mind. So if you would have a group of people of the same age, same background, same experience, too much of the same, they will probably align on any topic very easy. And this is not where innovation is starting. So diversity is bringing this kind of strange questions, new questions, need to open the mind of others, and to challenge the others. And this is where more value can be created if done properly.
Yeah, super motivating that. What kind of advice do you think? I think probably following that kind of leads quite well, but what advice do you have for young females who are maybe thinking about a career in technology, or maybe a change into the tech world?
Yeah, if they are already thinking about it, I would just say, just do it, go for it. If you're already thinking there, so that must be a seed somewhere in yourself that is also kind of indicating that could be interesting, or this is the right way. But then now we need to kind of consider, why do you have doubts? You should believe in yourself. Don't consider yourself different because of gender, or because somebody told you this is a male heavy domain or something like that. So I think I will encourage everyone, believe in yourself, set your goals and then go for your goals, for your dreams. And then I will also recommend everyone, it's always good to have dreams and goals, but be adaptable, because the life is, life hits you. And then be able to adjust your plans and your approach.
What is a positive sign, working on the recruitment agency side, is that we are starting to see a lot of organizations value having more women in the team, especially on the tech side. And therefore, it could very quickly become your advantage. So figure out how you can flip those situations where, you maybe are treated a bit differently, into your advantage, because these days, we're often asked for shortlists with more females on than males. And for all of the hardship, there could be some positives, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
It's good to hear that we are developing in that aspect.
Slowly but surely, hopefully. Any lessons that you learned the hard way throughout your time?
Many. Where should I start?
Yeah.
maybe the heaviest one. So the reason why I came to Denmark, I would like to explain this a little bit more.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, I studied in Germany, and then I started working there in international company. And everything was good. I also got married and got children. But then suddenly everything changed when I got children. I mean, in the work environment. So I have been a part of the same department, and it was good. I was progressing my career. I've gotten the responsibilities for the projects and everything. But then I got kids, and I've been very efficient. I got 2 kids at the same time. So after giving a birth to my twins, I kind of came back to work. So first of all, everybody was surprised that I came back to work that far, because I was not using the full amount of maternity time leave you would have in Germany. I thought 1.5 years is enough of a break, so I needed to start working again. So everybody was surprised by that. Then I could see that suddenly, the responsibility is moving away from me. Then another examples, the meetings could be moved due to any possible reason you can imagine, even because a dog could not stay alone at home, and then we would move a meeting. But then when I asked to move a meeting and to end at least, at latest at 4:30, because I needed to pick up my kids from the daycare at 5:00, then I got strange comments, like unbelievable eye contact. Said, what? But you have decided to work, so you better work, right? So how you could do that. So somehow just normal life became so complicated. And of course I've been doing my hours on the job, because we needed to move the carts when we're entering the door and when we're exiting the door. So it was not a problem, but still not being treated the same way, and it was really hard for me. So what I tried, according to my trade, I work even harder, and I was trying to show them, of course, I'm back, and I'm just me. I'm normal. I can still take ownership, and I organized also everything if kids would become ill and everything. But somehow I was like stopped in my career. I was not supported by the colleagues and the company. I really felt bad. Then I was to a business trip to Copenhagen a few times, and I could see that the work-life balance could look also different. I could see in Copenhagen even male colleagues leaving the office at the normal time to kind of pick up the kids. So I could see that, and also department have had way more females than in Germany. So I could see actually Denmark is actually on a different level. So long story short, we decided to move to Denmark, and then basically when we changed, my career rocketed actually when we moved to Denmark. Then I was promoted to senior, to lead. Then I became an architect and the senior architect. Within the 5 years, I have kind of dealt with all career debt I accumulated in Germany. So and that was actually a really good experience for me, because I finally saw that actually I still have a value. I can do good work, and people can see it and they appreciate it if you allow to. So that was a very good move for me and experience. But it was hard, to leave and change the country and leave all friends and the family. But on the other side, it's
made the right decision.
It has increased quality of life, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's super important to feel supported and empowered at work, right? So although it sounds like a really big move, maybe it definitely outweighed the cons, which is great to hear, and it's so nice to hear that it's been the right decision. A lot of what we've spoken about has been down to like mentality and how you've kind of approached things from your own self-awareness and self-motivation. But along the way, have there been any mentors or leaders that you've had throughout your journey who've made a strong impact on you?
Yes, I remember actually one specific mentor. So I've had many good mentors in my career, and also very many good role models. But there was one important learning for me that one mentor recognized pretty fast and helped me through it. And this is basically how to, overcome my perfectionism, and in order to be able to scale. So he could see that I have a potential, but I have a difficulties to scale because I was spending too much time on a task because I wanted to be even better. So basically, he worked with me, step by step in kind of bringing this into my awareness and understanding why it is needed to actually, in order to scale, you need to kind of give away your perfectionism. So he really asked me to deliver one work. I was working on one presentation, and he asked me to give, to deliver this presentation to my boss on a 20% finished level. And I thought, no way, he's crazy. I cannot deliver something, like in a draft version to my boss. And then we negotiated, and then he convinced me to kind of give it at the 50% of the quality. So when I would be happy with the quality, then, decide when it's the 50, halfway through, and to deliver it to my boss, just to understand the feedback. And it was super hard for me to do that, but I did. And I was actually surprised how easy it was to get satisfied somebody else than myself. So that was a huge learning for me. So what is the learning here? I mean, I'm not telling people to, deliver bad quality on the job, but actually this this having a certain level, kind of a draft done, and then having alignment with the next layer is just kind of a moving things faster. Get the feedback faster and then shape your presentation exactly there where it's needed. And so basically get the better result in a shorter time than just doing it yourself from scratch to the perfection. That was a huge learning, but I think it also, it was a hard one for me to take, but it was a very good one.
I like that. It's something that resonates well with me, because I often try and produce this perfect deck or whatever it might be, and sometimes I also realize that the person you might be presenting to is not actually as hung up on detail or even paying attention as closely as you think they might be. So as you might have maybe wasted a bit of time doing that when they're really just looking for the high level report or whatever it might be. So that's really interesting, but it's a cool way of getting you to implement it by saying, just do it by 50%. So I like that. So that's an interesting mentor that you had. Are there any specific moments that you can look back on and say, do you know what, that was a really defining step in my career, or conversations, for example?
Yeah, I think the another example, which was also very important in my development, in the career development as a leader, is also this the agile transformation we did in the current company. So basically changing the ways of working and changing also the mindset of what leadership is, right? So understanding all this people aspect. So for example, you cannot manage people. people think they can manage people, but actually we can't. But what we can enable people. So if we have a good environment for people to perform in, if they feel trusted, if there is a trust underneath, and if they have a good, diverse, empowered teams with the clear goals, then they can deliver also better. So I think that the whole dynamic in understanding the people and organizational development was very important for my current leadership roles.
Amazing. So I guess to bring the conversation to kind of where we are and where the business or leader has an impact with the team, and I suppose an element of responsibility. So today the world's going through lots of change, lots of turmoil, and quite frankly, quite a lot of crisis across the world. And as a leader of a large division, I'm sure that you have team members who are maybe personally affected about what might be going on, whether it be the war or immigration changes, etc. How do you think, and to what extent, I suppose, do you have the moral obligation to support your team in those times while still providing that kind of positive, safe working space? And I suppose from your own personal experience, it really is interesting to hear your perspective.
Yes, this is very good question. And it is very important actually to reflect on this leadership responsibility from this aspect. And in the last few years, a lot of not nice stuff has been also happening around us. For example, the pandemic crisis we've had. Then my current company, we have a development unit in Ukraine, in Kiev, more than 200 people, and they're affected by the war now as we speak. Yeah. And as I have experienced war in my lifetime too, so I could actually very good relate and adjust to this reality and kind of understand what the need is and what we as leaders have a responsibility for. So I see it as, as a leader and as a company, we need to support those people in any possible way, from the company responsibility point of view, but without stepping over into their private matters. So in those situations, they need to make some private decisions, and this is their private decisions, right? But what we need to do as a company is basically to provide a framework and opportunity and possibility that provides them, the possibilities, the best possibilities. And this is important balance to strike. So it is sometimes it feels like, like a leading in a fog. You don't see anything and you still need to lead the people. But this is where leaders really need to provide, handle on a pathway or how to pave the way, and so people can hold on it if needed. So our employees, they are not small kids. We don't need to take care about them like you would take care of the small children. But still the leadership responsibility is basically, to pave this way and provide a handle so people can, in different private situations, hold on it and be guided. And I think this is in those challenging times also a challenging and important task.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really important thing to talk about, right? And I think a lot of businesses want to be helpful, but probably are unsure about where to start and how to go about that. So just having the conversation in the first place, I think, is really important, right? As well, it's continuously changing and evolving, and I like how you mentioned having a framework in place. So that's kind of like the ability to then apply that for the employees as well, because I'm sure there's many employees who don't really know how to go about those conversations and maybe feel a bit awkward or themselves are taking on quite a lot of burden. So there's also an important balance to strike there as well. So yeah, really, really powerful to hear, and thank you for sharing that, Daniela. So on a slightly lighter note, to kind of wrap it all up, I think it's been a really, really interesting conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your journey, and I'm sure everyone's going to be really excited to hear about this. Question that I like to ask everyone at the end is just, where is your next vacation bucket list location?
Australia has been for a very, very long time on my wish list, and I still haven't made it. So now I decided to mention this openly, and then this will probably trigger me to really start planning to get there.
Yeah, okay, got it. So we need to make sure certain people listen to this one. But yeah, I guess you need a good amount of time for that one, because it's quite a trek, but certainly had positive things about when you get there. But yeah, thank you so much, Daniela. It's been a pleasure to have you on today. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I think you have yeah, such a strong mentality. And I know that you don't like being called superwoman, but I think if anyone's listening and took anything from your book, it's having that kind of positive can-do attitude, combined with the resilience, and yeah, not letting the external factors get in your way, right? But yeah, thank you so much. It's been amazing, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me here.